Welcome to Chapter 7 in my list of Adobe Illustrator tutorials. And in this chapter, we're going to focus on your Pathfinders panel. So in order to show you how all your Pathfinders work, I'm going to go to File and Open because I've already started an Illustrator file for you. So we need to go and open it and continue working on it. So I'll find my Illustrator Chapter 7 and 7.1 Pathfinder Logos. All right. So what I've done on this page is I've set up a template. That's the scan showing you the logos you're going to create. I've also created a layer with the Pathfinder titles. So we're identifying each one we're going to use. And then obviously the artwork, the pieces of art necessary to create each logo. So what I'm going to do before I start is go to Window menu, Pathfinder, and I always just stick that panel group right up there in the upper left. I'll take my zoom tool and zoom in. And you can see right here that complicated detail logos, if you really think about them, are broken down into basic components. Okay, I would never take the pen tool and try to draw every one of these bumps when I could do one big circle for the center of the logo, another smaller circle for this bump, and another smaller circle for that bump. Then everything else is about shortcuts. So in order to make everything work, I have to work with smart guides. So I'm going to click outside with my black arrow, go to View menu, Smart Guides, and to help with those smart guides, View menu, Snap to Point. Those two work together, Smart Guides and Snap to Point. So now when I take my black arrow, click and drag and hit the big circle, here's my alignment guide. You can see it line it up perfectly right there. And I'll bring that right down to the center of this logo, right there. I let go of the mouse. Now I take the next circle right on its center point and I'll drag that down. There's my alignment guide and I'm going to put it right there, half in and half out of that big circle. It's intersecting right along the center of the little circle. Perfect. Now I'll take the little one again on the center point and I will intersect that one. That's all I need to create this entire logo. So in order to do so, I'm going to take my black arrow, click and drag over the top two little circles. I don't need the big circle anymore, just these two little ones, because I need to make them go around and around and around this bigger circle. Okay, you figure it out once and you make copies for the rest. You don't do a lot of work. So I'm going to select, again, just the top two little circles. I'm going to come over to my toolbox, press and hold on the reflect tool and use the rotate tool. All I'm going to do is find the center of the entire logo. So right down here, I'll hold my command key so you can see. Right there is the center of the entire logo. Okay, so I'm going to take this rotate tool, hover over the center, and to rotate from that center point, you hold your Option or Alt key, and then you click with your mouse. So now I've established the rotation point or rotation origin right there. So imagine hammering a nail and tying a string to these. They're just going to swing around the outside because I Option clicked on my Mac or Alt clicked on a PC. Now I need to figure out the angle. So that's 30, 60, 90 degrees. So I'll type in 30 degrees. A positive value actually goes counterclockwise. And you can see it right here. Turn off the preview. There's before and there's after. So I know 30 degrees is correct. I'm simply going to copy. I want to keep the original here, and I want a copy at 30 degrees. So I'll click copy. Now what I've just done is given Illustrator a command. Rotate a copy of an object at 30 degrees. That command is stored in Illustrator's memory. So to keep duplicating that command, on my Mac, I hold my command key, and at the same time, I hit the letter D, command D, to duplicate a copy at 30 degrees. I'll hold command and hit D. I'll just hold command the whole time. Or on a PC, hold your control key down. On a Mac, hold your command key down. And while you're holding that down the whole time, just keep hitting the letter D, the letter D, the letter D, and you keep duplicating every 30 degrees. This is how logos are started. You make a big pile of shapes like that. And then you take your black arrow and you select that big pile of shapes. Right up here on my Pathfinder, we want to use the Unite, which is the first one. It's going to combine or unite or kind of melt together all of these shapes into one common outline. Unite. And there is your logo. What I would do is save your progress after each logo. So the first time out, I'm going to go to File, Save As. I'm going to save this as my last name, first name, Pathfinder Logos. On my desktop, I'll save it as an Illustrator file, and I'll click OK. Now, I'm not going to worry about color right now. I'm just worried about creating the shapes. So I'm going to hold my space bar from my hand tool and pull this over. We'll pull it down a little bit so we can see. And I'm going to take this circle, click and drag it down, and there's my alignment guide right there, halfway down the center of the stroke. Okay, I'm not on the inside of the thick stroke, I'm not on the outside, I'm going right down the center. Okay, that's what I want to do. So if I can't see everything, I'm going to take my zoom tool, Option click on my Mac, that would be Alt click on your PC. And now with my black arrow, I can click and drag this one, and we'll move it kind of off center and put it right about there. Now notice it keeps popping to these letters. Okay, I don't want it to line up to those letters. So now I'm having a little difficulty moving these things around. So if that is the case, I'm just going to move every one of these circles down, kind of get them into view. Then I'm going to go to View menu, turn off my Smart Guides for a minute. View menu, turn off Snap to Point, because they keep trying to snap to the letters, not to the artwork itself. So in that case, my Smart Guides are getting in the way. Now I can take the bigger circle and just kind of freely move that wherever I want it to go. So I'm going to put it right there. Half in and half out of that stroke edge right there. We'll take this middle size one and overlap it right there. And I'll take the little one and we'll line it up right there. Okay, now what I can do is select all of that mess, and I want to match the thickness of the logo. So right up here on my stroke panel, I'm going to hit the up arrow and make them, let's see, about 7. Okay, what I also want to do, since this is a softer looking logo, I want to make sure my stroke is always set to the 2 middle points. Caps around, and more importantly, corners have a rounded look. Now that I have selected all of those bigger circles, I go to the second one, minus front. I'm going to take these 3 little ones that are in front of the bigger one and punch them out. Now, you can't tell they're in front, so I'll just fill them with any color, just so you can see they are in front. I select them all, and I click minus front. Takes a big bite out of the cookie right there. I've got my nice rounded corners. I'll click on the fill and hit the question mark key. Click outside. And now I'm just going to hit my curved arrow. I'm going to switch so I can draw these little circles. Instead of a black stroke, I'm going to click that circle. So now anything I draw is going to be a black fill. I can zoom in even closer like that. And now with my ellipse tool, I'm just going to go right on the center of each circle, Shift and Option or Alt key, and I'm going to drag. I'm just going to hold my Shift key and my Option or Alt key at the same time, the whole time. Just keep holding those two down and click and drag. Then you move, click and drag. I don't need these to be perfectly traced. I can see a little bit of an edge right there. I don't care about that. I just want something as close as I can, like this, to fill out our chocolate chip cookie logo. So I'm going to keep going right here. I'm holding the Shift key and the Option key or Alt key on a PC. Shift so I can draw circles, Option or Alt key so I'm drawing them from their centers. And there we go. I'll take my zoom tool, Option or Alt click to zoom back out. And let me move this layers panel kind of out of the way. Now that I have another logo done, File, save your progress. Spacebar for the hand tool, and I'll pull this over. And this logo is just pretty much a circle and a star. So I'm just going to hold my hand tool or my spacebar to activate my hand tool and just pull this up so I can just see a bit of the star right there. I'm going to select the circle, use my alignment guide. Oops, I don't have my alignment guides because I turned off my smart guides from before. So I'm going to go to Edit, Undo, and turn on my smart guides again. View menu, Smart Guides, View menu, Snap to Point. Now when I click and drag, I can use that alignment guide to line it up right there, like that. Then I'll take this bottom point, click and drag that down, and there's my alignment guide with the circle right there. Perfect. Now I select them both, and what helps, now that we're kind of a couple logos in, what I would suggest is when you go to do your final logo, you've selected the mess of shapes, fill them with a color. I'll just fill them with a random green since the logo is green. Now it allows me to see the shapes a little more clearly, and this was called intersect. So it's basically going to keep every part where the star overlaps the circle. This part doesn't overlap. These parts don't overlap. So now when I click intersect, it only keeps the parts that were laying right on top of each other. So you can create some interesting little shapes. Click outside, and since I am starting to go with colors now, I'm going to hold my space bar and jump back over to these two. I can select this one right here, go to my eyedropper, and if I want to keep the outline but also get this color, you hold Shift and you click right there. Now I take my black arrow, select, take my eyedropper, and now I'm not going to hold the Shift key. I'll just click. So by the end, I just want solid colored logos right there. If the logo has strokes, I keep those. If this logo didn't have a stroke, I can select it once it's done, click on the black stroke, and hit the question mark key. Just always remember to come back to your fill when you're done. I'll click outside, hold my space bar, and drag over to this logo right here. And before I do the next logo, File, save your progress. Now I'm going to select the big circle, And I'm going to drag that down right to there. There's my alignment guide lining up with the circle that I started with. Now I click and drag it to the right. And right when I get over to this opposite side, right there, like that, I hold Option key on my Mac or Alt key on a PC for a copy, and I let go of the mouse first. Two overlapping big circles. Now I take the little circle and I'll drag that one down right there. Okay, what I'm going to do first is select all three and fill them with a color. I can click on red. Reddish orange, okay? There we go. So now when I click outside, notice I have two big circles sitting on top of each other and then a small circle. So what I want to do is carefully just select the two big circles right there across their top. And it says exclude. So what that's going to do is take the two sections where they overlap in the middle and exclude it or delete it. Delete the parts where they overlap. Now I select everything, click on my stroke, and hit the question mark key. So exclude, deleted where they overlapped, intersect, kept the parts where they overlapped. These two are kind of the opposite of each other. I will go to File, Save, hold my space bar, and I'll push this up and push it to the right and keep pushing it to the right until I come to the divide Pathfinder. Okay, so I'm going to take this little leaf, click and drag that anchor point right up to there. I'll take the chunk of the apple, click and drag that up, right up to there. Get that right there. And then I'll take this circle from its center point and I'll drag it right up into this position right there for the little bite. You arrange your objects and then you start doing your logo. So the leaf can sit by itself. Okay, I'm going to select the apple and the circle. And again, to help me see this, I'm going to go to my fill and I'll fill that with any color I want. Let's go blue for now. Now you can see when you click outside, the circle sits on top of the apple. So when I select the circle and the apple, the circle is in front, so it's going to take a bite out of it, but you're going to keep your shape. So right here, I'm going to say divide. Anytime you use divide, it makes a group. So I can't tear apart this part yet. Object menu, ungroup. Now when I click outside, it basically made a puzzle. One piece, a second piece, and a third piece. So you can see when you click outside, it divided it into this section and it divided it into that section, taking a bite out of the apple. So I'll delete those two. Delete or backspace on my PC. I'll select the blue apple now, click on the blue, and hit the question mark key. No color, because I got to see where this apple is cut into stripes. So in order to slice this one big apple into sections, you're going to take right next to your type tool is your line segment tool. I'm going to click on that, and the first line, I don't care where you draw it. I'll just start here, hold shift for a horizontal line, and I'm going to cut a long line all the way across that apple like that. You let go of your mouse first, then your shift key, and now I take my pen tool. Now I take my arrow tool and I lift it up right where that first stripe goes, right there. Now all I have to do is click and drag it down, and after I start to drag, I'm going to hold Shift to go straight down, Option or Alt key at the same time for a copy, and I let go of the mouse first. Now I let go of the keyboard, and what I just did is moved a copy down a certain distance. So now on my keyboard, to duplicate that, I hold Command on my Mac or Control key on my PC, and while I'm holding that key down the whole time, I just keep hitting the letter D to duplicate another copy. D, D. Okay, if I was off a little bit on that first one, I'm going to be a little bit off on some of the other ones. So you could definitely see where I was off right there. So I'll just click on this bottom line and hit the up arrow just to nudge that back up. Click on this line, maybe hit the up arrow once, just so I kind of put them back into their proper places. Now I start out here, click and drag over all those lines and the apple. I could go right there. As long as I hit both of those objects, the lines and the apple. I divide the apple into pieces. Divide, object, ungroup. Now, here's the trick for coloring them from our scan. You're going to click on your black arrow first, then you come down to your eyedropper. So you are currently on your eyedropper. All you have to do on your Mac is hold your Command key, and there's your black arrow. On a PC, you would hold your Control key, and your black arrow will reappear. So now, I hold Command on my Mac, click and drag and hit the two green pieces, let go of my mouse, let go of the keyboard for the eyedropper, and sample. Now I'm going to go right on the side, hold Command on my Mac or Control on my PC, so I get the black arrow, click the edge, let go of the keyboard, sample. So I'm going to do this really quick with my Command key on my Mac. That'll be your Control key on a PC. Command click on the edge with the Mac, let go of the keyboard, sample. Command click on my Mac, let go, sample. Command click on my Mac, let go, sample. Command click on my Mac, let go, sample. Remember, every time, Command key means your Control key on your PC, and there's your Apple logo. File, save. Save your progress every time. I'm going to take this one little square, and I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to move that up. So if it helps, let go, go to Edit, Undo, and if you have an object with a center point, line it up along the center. So now I'll move that center right up there and line it up with that red right there. Okay, you can see it's kind of snapping to the Apple logo next to it. So I'll get it as close as I can. I can see I'm a little bit off on the bottom, so I'll hit the up arrow maybe 2 times just to line it up like that. Because again, smart guides line up with objects, with other objects. So sometimes they work great and sometimes they can actually get in your way, like you just saw. So now I'm going to take this square, hold my Option or Alt key on a PC, Option key on a Mac, and I'll click and drag right to there. Let go of the mouse. Then I let go of the Option key. Maybe I'll hit the down arrow once because, again, my smart guides are kind of getting in the way here. Option or Alt key for a copy, and I'll drag that center point right down there. Let go of the mouse first. And now I have those 3 squares. Now when I click and drag over all 3, let's see what happens. I have another one called Trim. So I'm going to click that. And the filter produced no results. Okay. Well, let's fill them with color. I'm going to click and drag, use my eyedropper and sample. I can hold Command key on my Mac, select, let go of the keyboard and sample, hold Command key on my Mac, click and drag, let go and sample. Now I select all three and I try trim. Okay, well, I don't even know what that did. Okay, so let's click outside and let's see. Now I click on the blue. Well, I click on the blue, it keeps selecting everything. So let's go to Object and Ungroup. Now when I click outside, I separate them and separate them. So that's pretty much what it does. It allows me to separate objects, trim them out from the previous ones. Okay, I don't care if this one matches the scan. If I turn off the scan, you can see it trimmed them out right here. So I can just kind of visually line them up again like that. But that's pretty much what the trim does. It cuts them out from each other. Kind of like divide, but in a different manner. Okay? It kept the top one and then sliced it out of that one, and that one sliced it out of that one. So as long as I put them in that general relationship right there, I'm cool with that. It's not going to match perfectly on the scan, but that's what you have. Okay? File, save. I'll hold my space bar, drag this over, and now I have merge. So I'm going to take these two circles, click and drag them up, and I'll line them up right there. If I click outside, I select this one first, take my eyedropper and sample the color, hold my Command key on my Mac, that's my Control key on my PC, select, let go of the keyboard, and sample. So what you see is we have an orange circle sitting on top of a red circle. I'll go to Edit, undo that move. Now when I select both, I click Merge. And what that technically did is erased the overlapping part of the red. Okay? If I click outside and try to separate them, it doesn't. It creates a group. So I have to go to Edit, undo that move, select them, Object, Ungroup. Now when I click outside, you can see that the orange pretty much took a bite out of the red. The only difference here is it kept it as a group from before. It's not like minus front where it takes a bite out of it. It actually kept the object and it fit them together like a puzzle piece. Undo that move. Okay? File, save my progress, hold my space bar, and we'll push this one over. And you can see right here, we have this circle. So I'll fill that with a color. Let's pick a random color like blue. I'll select this star and we'll pick another color like this magenta. So you can see that the star is tucked under the circle. I'm going to select them both. Take that little, let's take that center point right there. Center points are always better to move from. And I'll move that straight up. So I can kind of line up the star right there. So again, your star is tucked under the circle. What I'm going to do is turn off my top layer for a second. So we want to use the crop Pathfinder. I'll select those both. And now I have the crop Pathfinder. It's basically making a clipping mask. All I want to do is crop out or only show what sits directly below the circle, which is this chunk of the star. Crop. And I click outside and there's our logo. Turn off the top layer. You can see we've created that logo. we have trapped the upper part of the star inside the boundaries of this now invisible circle. That's what the crop Pathfinder does. File, save it, hold my space bar, and we'll come over to this mess of squares. So I'm going to select this guy. I'll take the center point and we'll move it up right about there. There we go. Option or Alt key for a copy, and I'll just drag another one right there. Let go. Option or Alt key for a copy right there. Option or Alt key for a copy right there. Close enough. Okay, I can hit my right arrow key just to nudge that over a bit, because again, some of my smart guides are kind of getting in the way. If I wanted to select all 4 of those, and they're all just 4 solid colored orange squares, so when I click outside, it looks like an odd shape. I don't really recognize every square. I recognize one big shape. You select them all, and you click Outline. And that's pretty much what it's going to do. There is no outline, so I'll hit the up arrow, and we'll make that an outline of about 5. And that's what it does. Simply creates an outline of all your objects. It was an orange fill, now it turned into an orange outline. That's pretty much all it does. You can try to select one object, but it won't. It creates a big group. I've never ever found a use for this. Why do that when I could just select a bunch of squares and hit D for default colors and then get rid of the fill? That's pretty much what it did. And then it made a group. I don't know, it's just an advanced way to do something stupid. So I've never had a use for that outline, but at least now you know what it does. I will go to File, save that one, hold my space bar, and we'll come over to minus back. So you can see right here, we've got a large ellipse with a smaller vertical ellipse tucked underneath, sent to the back of it. So I'm going to select just this first ellipse right there on the center point. I'm going to move it up and line it up right there. Now I take the little one, I'll move it up, and right there they intersect. Okay, the little one is sitting literally right underneath the big one. It's tucked right under. So now when I select both of them, I'm going to tell Illustrator, take the little one and subtract it from the big one. Take what's in the back and minus that. And there we go. Okay, if it doesn't match exactly, that doesn't matter. I don't care about that. Select it, click the stroke, hit the question mark key, because as always, if you are just slightly off, nobody's gonna know, because you're gonna take your template and throw it in the trash anyway. Nobody would know that. Okay, I can hit Command and 0 to zoom out. There's my entire page showing me what each of these pathfinders do. And I'll be totally honest with you. I use the top 4 and I use divide. Everything from here on over is pretty much useless. Minus back is just like minus front. Okay, it's pretty much the same, except you took an object in the front instead of in the back. So this one's useless. I don't turn objects into grouped outlines. I can just hit, like I said, D for default colors and get rid of the fills. That one's pretty much useless. The crop Pathfinder, I can make clipping masks. Okay, that's all I need is a clipping mask. Merge, this is like minus front again. It's repetitive. It's almost the same exact thing. So I don't even bother using merge. Trim, I don't use trim because I have a divide pathfinder. I can do that. Okay, so again, from trim all the way over to the right are pretty much useless. I mean, you can see what they do, but there are better ways to do those, like clipping masks. Okay, the top row and Pathfinder is typically what you're going to use. So what I can do now is get rid of all this extra space. I click on my artboard tool, pull the top center of the artboard down, right there. I'll take the very bottom center point and pull that up right there. And now when I go to my black arrow, I have a final page showing me what each and every one of these Pathfinders does. I'll go to File, save that one more time, and you and I and everybody, we are done. So I'm going to move on and use the Pathfinder panel for one more thing, which is cutting shapes out of type, like putting an illustration inside of letters. It's a really cool effect, and I'll show you that in just a few minutes.